from the Catechism of the Catholic Church, picking up where we left off, paragraph 571. Article 4. Jesus Christ suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. The Paschal mystery of Christ's cross and resurrection stands at the center of good news that the apostles and the church following him are to proclaim the world. God's saving plan was accomplished once and for all by the redemptive death of his Son, Jesus Christ. The church remains faithful to the interpretation of all the scriptures that Jesus gave both before and after his Passover. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory? Jesus' sufferings took their historical concrete form from the fact that he was rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes who had handed him to the Gentiles to be mocked and scourged and crucified. Faith can therefore try to examine the circumstances of Jesus' death, finally handed on by the Gospels and illuminated by other historical resources, the better to understand the meaning of the redemption. Animals are going crazy. Paragraph 1. Jesus and Israel. From the beginning of Jesus' public ministry, certain Pharisees and partisans of Herod, together with priests and scribes, agreed together to destroy him because of certain of his acts, expelling demons, forgiving sins, healing on the Sabbath day, his novel interpretation of the precepts of the law regarding purity, and his familiarity with tax collectors and public sinners. Some ill-anointed persons suspected Jesus of demonic possession. He is accused of blasphemy and false prophecy, religious crimes which the law punished with death by stoning. Many of Jesus' deeds and words constituted a sign of contradiction, but more so for the religious authorities in Jerusalem, whom the Gospel, according to John, often calls simply the Jews, than for the ordinary people of God. To be sure, can y'all stop? To be sure, Christ's relations with the Pharisees were not exclusively polemical. Another word we gotta look up. Some Pharisees warned him of danger he was courting. Jesus praises some of them, like the scribe of Mark 12:34, and dines several times at their homes. Jesus endorses some of the teachings imparted by this religious elite of God's people: the resurrection of the dead, certain forms of piety, almsgiving, fasting, and prayer, the custom of addressing God as Father, and the certain centrality of the commandment to love God and neighbor. In the eyes of many in Israel, Jesus seems to be acting against essential institutions of the chosen people: submission to the whole of the law in its written commandments, and for the Pharisees in the interpretation of oral tradition. The centrality of the temple at Jerusalem as the holy place where God's presence dwells in a special way. Faith in the one God whose glory no man can share.